That's right, boys. Welcome to the side of the ring because it's time for the rumors on the ringside. According to their sources backstage at AEW, Fightful Select reports the Sammy Guevara/Andrade situation is seen as being disrespectful to veterans like Chris Jericho, Bryan Danielson, and Jon Moxley. Those men reportedly worked hard after the all-out brawl to get the locker room on the same page, and this latest incident puts the roster back in a bad light. It doesn't put the roster in a bad light. It puts Sammy and Andrade in a bad light. This shouldn't speak. Okay. I don't think that the actions of individuals should speak for the majority of the people. That's not fair. You can't just have Andrade and Sammy fucking slapboxing each other and then someone looks over at fucking Brandon Cutler's like, oh, this is your fault, you son of a bitch. You can't do that. That's why I said if you listen to me in the last Turnbuckle episode, okay, it's their fault. It is a two-way street. Neither of them should have done that. Neither of them. Neither one of them. Now, here's the deal. If Andrade hit Sammy, and then Sammy hit Andrade, and then it turned into like, you know when like a football player tackles another football player, right? And then the football player shoves him, and then the team comes out, because that happens in baseball. You know, the team spills out, and then it's a big schmoz. If that had happened, then you could sit here and be like, oh, it's putting the locker room in a bad light. At that point, you'd be like, all right, everyone is just sort of like, now everyone's just fucking asking for it at this point. But it was just them two, right? And you have to look at those two. You have to look at those two. You can't do in this instance, you can't do the parent yelling at the older brother thing of like, oh, you should have stopped them and you should have known that they were going to. No, they are adults. They have full control and mobility over their body and their brain and their mind and their spirit and their soul. They shouldn't have done that stuff. And they did it. It's their fault, not the locker room. So don't put the locker room in a bad light. Put them in a bad light, all right? Both Sammy and Andrade. None of this fucking, Sammy, but Andrade. No, they both fucking did it. Punish the both of them. Well, okay, I'll punish Andrade more than Sammy. But Sammy fucking said shit on Twitter. Don't just leave that shit alone. They called him a prick and then, you want to go back to, he instigated it. He stirred the fucking pot. Sheesh. Next, there were those backstage who were upset Tony Khan didn't send Guevara home along with Andrade after their alleged fight, according to, it's DAZN. DAZN? I always read it as DAZN. It's DAZN. All right. DAZN Steve Muehlhausen. Leave me alone. Yes. To be fair, sure. You probably should have sent Sammy home because he was involved in it, which is fair. Now, because if you think about the fallout at All Out, Kenny got involved in it, but it wasn't Kenny's fault. CM Punk was the one who threw the punch, and I would argue that Kenny and the Young Bucks were just fighting back. Now, some people were saying that Sammy talked some shit to Andrade and then shoved him, and that's how this whole brawl started. And then some people argued that Andrade gave him a sucker punch. And again, Andrade, if you're doing that, that's a bitch move. I don't care what anybody says. If you sucker punch somebody, you're a bitch automatically. You wait till somebody fucking has you in their line of sight, you fucking square up with them, and then you throw the punch. And if you missing it, clock, that's no one's fault but your own. But you fucking waiting for somebody to turn around, or you specifically making sure that they don't see your punch coming on purpose so that you can get the fucking cheeky hit in, you're a bitch. At least in my eyes, all right? And take it from me, okay? Fucking, anyway. That was meant to be a joke. Anyway. It's all right. So, should they have sent Guevara home? To be honest, yeah. Yeah, they really should have. To be fairly honest with you, they really should have. Just to sort of send the message of like, I don't tolerate this shit from any side. I don't care who did what. You're both going home. I feel as though that probably wouldn't have been a good idea. On the same subject, Wrestling Observer's Brian Alvarez tweeted, there are definitely two totally different stories about what happened tonight. Though many in AEW have disputed the TMZ version and noted that if it was true, it's very hard to believe Sammy would have worked the main event while Andrade was sent home. The other side of that story has come out. Read about it here. Okay, yeah, so that's pretty much what I was talking about how he sucker punched him and then Sammy talked a bunch of shit. It doesn't matter. I don't care. I don't give a shit. This shouldn't be happening. No fighting whatsoever, none. Don't be touching, get off of him. Do you turn around and go. Leave. You too. I would have lost my mind. I would have gone in there like a dad and fucking dressed them down and then sent them home. Ridiculous. Adults here, by the way. It's like fucking high school. What is this? What is going on? Fuck. Can everyone please get a goddamn grip on themselves? Lord have mercy. Next, during the interview with Mas Lucha that stirred up issues with Sammy, Andrade said Charlotte Flair is taking time off from WWE for personal reasons. All right, listen, all right. If she's got a flicker bean in the private of her own home, let her do it, all right? I'm not going to fucking say anything, okay? She's allowed to, it's fine, okay? She's allowed to do whatever she wants. Bandito did sign a full-time contract with AEW recently, per Fightful. Alvarez previously indicated on Wrestling Observer Live that WWE also had interest in signing Bandito. I mean, again, I said it in the Turnbuckle episode. Great. If I'm Bandito, I'm over the fucking moon, okay? I'm fucking backflipping into every fucking room I enter, all right? I'm happy as shit. This is great. A bunch of promotions want me. I'm a fantastic wrestler. I'm over with the crowd. I'm getting paid my dues. This is great. I'm over the moon. But I mean, at the same time, it's like, does it really matter? So long as he gets to wrestle and he doesn't get hurt, then there's really nothing else I can say about it. Finally, Montez Ford was seen wearing a walking boot on this. Oh yeah, I heard about this. A walking boot on this week's Raw. While the site didn't know if the injury was legit, Fightful heard WWE's prop department brought in the boot on Monday. Well, okay, but that doesn't mean that it's not a real boot. He could bring in a real boot. He's not gonna walk in with an oversized boot on and then go, yeah, look, yes, my leg broken, tragic. No, they're gonna bring a real boot in. That doesn't make any sense. It's cardboard. It just says boot on it. Like, I don't understand. Then we don't know. Then it could just be a really convincing boot, or it could be an actual boot. We have no idea. I love the way I'm saying it. I don't know why. Boot. It's just fun. Anyway, we don't know. We actually don't know. It's to be fair with you, it's really hard to tell. I don't know. I'm not his foot. I can't. Although I do have it on speed. That's not funny. I have to be quicker. I gotta be quicker with this. Okay, that's how comedians do it. All right, what do we talk about? According to their sources, reports Sammy Guevara's situation as he's being disrespectful to veterans. It's not okay. It is because they're fighting and it makes them look kind of silly because they just spent all that fucking time. You know, it's like the nanny or the fucking, I don't know, inspector comes in. It's like, are your children being shitheads? And you're like, no. And then they're running around with a bucket on their head and they're naked or whatever. And you're like, ow. You know, I see what they mean. Backstage, we're upset Tony Khan didn't send Guevara home. Yeah, I'd send him home. It seems a bit licht. And I can understand why you didn't do it, because, like, oh, he's in the fucking main event, for Christ's sake. Jeez. Now I gotta put him out there. And then they did. Apparently, they had him on his shoulders. Wow, okay. On the same subject, Wrestling Observer tweeted, definitely two totally different stories about what happened. It's very hard to believe Sammy would have worked the main event while Andrade was sent home. Right, which I feel like leans more into the thing of Andrade was really the one who sucker punched him and was punching. So apparently, 2 punches, he got in 2 punches before they broke it up. So, again, no one is in the right. Okay? Sheesh. During the evening with Mas Lucha that started up issues, Andrade said Charlotte Flair is taking time off. She's not flicking her bean. I was joking. Can you imagine? So, what are you doing? Just looking at the bean, you know, just getting some stress out. Hey, listen, okay? Mary, I agree with you, all right? I feel you, all right? Bandito did sign a full-time contract. Great, sure, fantastic. Apparently WWE wanted to poach him. Listen, all right, if you're a Bandito, this is nothing but good news, all right? And then finally, Montez Ford was wearing a boot, but it could be fake, or it could just be real. It could be a real boot, but it's a fake. That's what makes me laugh. It could just be a real boot, but a fake injury, or a fake injury with a real boot. I just said the same thing. And on that note, boys, I'm going to call this episode here. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode, because I certainly enjoyed making it. Hopefully everybody has a wonderful tonight and a wonderful tomorrow. I just started saying it, so I might as well finish it. And as always, big hugs. Big hugs all around.